Hello, good evening, everyone. It is 7 o'clock, and so we are going to go ahead and get started with this evening's concert and symphonic band parent meeting. My name is Michelle Black, and I am the band director here at Pearson Middle School. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your evening to join us to talk about some band information. A couple things for you to note. We are recording this meeting for those that are unable to attend live. And if you would like to look at a presentation of this meeting, you can go to the web address in the bottom right-hand corner, bit.ly/CBSB meeting. And that will take you to a presentation. There's going to be hyperlinks that you can click on and look at if you'd like to follow along. So when we have, the past couple weeks, as we've been having Zoom classes with our band students, every class we are starting out with our norms for Zoom. And so I figured it would be appropriate for us to start with some norms this evening. So please keep your microphone on mute unless you're actively speaking. There are quite a few of us in this meeting, and if everybody unmutes at the same time and starts talking, it's going to be chaos. If you do plan to unmute yourself to ask a question, we're just ask that you please wear headphones to prevent feedback. This helps us not have echoes and things like that going on. Just so you know how this meeting is working, I will be presenting the information in the meeting, and Mr. Jensen, our awesome assistant band director, will be minding the chat and answering your questions. So if you have a question as the meeting is going on, you can put it in the chat and he will answer you. And that way you can get your questions answered during the meeting. At the end of the meeting, we will give time for questions. I'm going to try to get us out a little earlier than an hour, so that'll give us plenty of time for questions at the end. And then you can either have your camera on or not. It's completely up to you. But if you do have your camera on, please be mindful of your surroundings and what is behind you, as we can see you, and this meeting is being recorded. Okay, so before we start, I just want to talk about our philosophy here at Pearson Middle School. Everybody who's watching this meeting has a student who's been at band for at least 1 year, and so this should look a little familiar. I know that I am new to the campus, and so I just wanted to kind of talk to you guys about my philosophy and my philosophy of music and band and everything like that. So the number one thing to us when it comes to band and what we're trying to teach our students is to instill a love of music in them, to help them be the best player on their instrument that they can possibly be. Because if you feel like you're good at something, if you feel like good at playing your instrument, you're going to want to keep doing it. You're going to love it. You're going to enjoy it. And so that's our purpose, is to help these students be the best player on their instrument. Band, as we see it, is a 7-year program. Our hope is that your student starts band in 6th grade and continues all the way through Pearson and all the way through Reedy High School into the high school band. Mr. Jensen and I both became band directors because we loved band, we loved high school band, we loved that family experience, and so we want to give that to your student. The next thing that we are trying to teach in band is we're trying to develop a sound character in our students with these real world skills. We know that most of our band students are not going to become professional musicians. We know that they're going to become professionals in other fields, and hopefully in fields where they make way more money than we do. And so we are trying to teach them these soft skills for being successful in those chosen professions. And those are things like hard work, goal setting, risk taking, cooperation, and responsibility. Band is an avenue through which we teach these things. And so we're really going to talk about those to your students throughout the course of the year. And finally, to create a wonderful experience for each and every student in our program. Band should be a family. And we want band to be a family for your student. We want the band hall to be a safe place for your student, whether that is in person, face to face, or that's virtual, that they feel like this is the place that they can come and feel at home and feel like they belong. And so we want that wonderful, great experience for every single student. So just an overview of the band directors and how you can contact us. On the next few slides are going to be some hyperlinks, and in the bottom right-hand corner of every slide in this presentation is a bit.ly. You can type that into any web address, bit.ly/CBSB meeting, and you can follow along with this presentation and click on those links. I'm Mrs. Black. I'm the head director here at Pearson Middle School. If you have any general band questions, general program questions, things like that, feel free to contact me with those. I teach the symphonic band class, and then I also teach the beginner woodwind classes. My email and my phone number is on here, so you can contact me. Mr. Jensen is our assistant band director. If you have any questions about private lessons, he's going to be your go-to as far as private lessons are concerned. He teaches the concert band class and the beginner brass classes, and his contact information is right there as well. We have two directors that we work with. They don't work at this school, but they work with the school. And that is Mr. Baldwin. He is our director of percussion in our cluster. And our cluster is made up of Reedy High School, Pearson Middle School, and Pioneer Heritage Middle School. He teaches the beginner percussion class, and he kind of oversees percussion for the cluster. He will be in our symphonic band and our concert band classes to work with those 7th and 8th grade percussionists. Not every day, but some days. Mr. Overturf is our percussion specialist. He works with Mr. Baldwin, and he is also in the cluster at Reedy High School, Pearson Middle School, and Pioneer Heritage Middle School. And he is primarily going to work with our concert and symphonic band percussionists. The past couple days, we've done breakout rooms, and our concert and symphonic band percussionists have gotten to work with Mr. Overturf, and that has been great. That is a wonderful resource we have, so he can give them some more percussion-specific instruction. So some communication avenues, just so you know the way that we're communicating with you. We know that you are being bombarded with communication right now. We know our students are being bombarded by communication, and we are being bombarded by communication. And so if I were to send you a different email for every specific thing that you needed to know for band, you would get about 5 emails a week from me. And you would get to the point where you would just have a rule set so my emails got deleted automatically. We don't want that to happen. We want to make sure that that communication that we send you is valuable and that it is comprehensive. That is why I've been sending out the band newsletter. And you should be receiving this. This should look very familiar. And this band newsletter is going to be the main form of communication that we're going to have. This way, everything that you need to know is in one place, so you can see it. The next avenue of communication that we have is our band website. And it's the exact same band website and a web address that we had last year. There's a few changes. We've had a little bit of an update to it. We have information on things like private lessons on here. There's communication information. If you're looking for up-to-date information on events and activities that we have going on in band, the website is probably not the best place for you to go, as it's not something that we update consistently. It's more of something that we update at the beginning of the year before school starts. Canvas, you can be an observer in your students' Canvas course. And by doing that, you'll be able to see everything that we're doing in class, especially right now, because we have synchronous and asynchronous learning happening. Everything that we're doing in class is up on the Canvas course, so you can look at that. If you have a question about how to be an observer in your student's Canvas course, you are welcome to email me or Mr. Jensen, and we will find the answer for you and get that to you. This is my first year ever using Canvas, and so there are still some things that I'm learning about Canvas, and I ask Mr. Jensen about 20 questions a day on Canvas, so we will find that answer to you. We do have some social media. We have a Twitter, a Facebook, and an Instagram, and we try to post the same things on all 3 social media platforms. So if you only want to subscribe to one of those things, you can subscribe to one of those things and still get all of the information that we're putting out there. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of talk about our band classes a little bit. This is probably going to be helpful information to you if you have a 7th grader. If you have an 8th grader, this is probably review. So I'm going to go through this pretty quick. So concert band is by audition, and your student auditioned at the end of last year to be placed in one of the band classes. Concert band is 7th and 8th graders. We will be doing an all-region learning process coming up, and students are encouraged to participate in the all-region. We will have a solo and an ensemble contest coming up, and students are required to be part of that. We will have performances. The performances are going to look different in this school year. In the 2020-2021 school year, performances will not look the same this year as they did last year. Private lessons are encouraged, and this is the best way for students who desire to move to a more advanced band next year or who are interested in high school band next year, for them to move up. And you know, normally I would be talking to you about sectionals and how sectionals work and everything like that. But with everything that's going on right now, we're putting sectionals on hold for a little while. Sectionals are a once weekly instrument specific rehearsal before or after school. That we have, and they are a wonderful way for students to progress, to get better as a section, and for us to get to know the students. Right now, we are kind of modifying our band format, so we're having sectionals during band class, so we can work with the students that way. And as we move further into the school year, we're going to look at and reevaluate sectionals and send you more information on that. Symphonic band, a lot of this is exactly the same. Symphonic band is the advanced level of 7th and 8th graders. They are required to participate in the learning of all region auditions, and they are encouraged to actually go to the audition and participate in that. We will do solo and ensemble. The same thing as concert band as far as performances are concerned. This is going to look a little different this school year. Private lessons are highly encouraged for students in symphonic band to help them become better on their instrument, to become more advanced players. The music that we're going to play in symphonic band is more advanced, and so it will help with that. And the same thing with sectionals as far as symphonic band is concerned. That's something that we're very hopeful that coming up in the future of this school year that we will be able to do and implement. Okay, grades. This shouldn't be a surprise. We have grades in band class. We have a set curriculum that is aligned with the Texas Education Agency's Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills Learning Standards. And if you want to look at the band handbook, on page 7, there's a list of course objectives that it's just outlines everything that we're going to learn in band this year. These Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills are things that we are mandated by the state to teach your student in band class. And so, you know, we will make sure that they learn those things this year. Students will receive grades in band based on mastery, and this is in accordance with the policy set by Pearson Middle School. And grades will be given in the following categories. We have major grades, which are 60% of their grade. And this is performances, both live and recorded, objective sheets, and playing tests. Minor grade is 40%. That says weekly practice record. That should not be on there. They do not have practice records. I apologize. Music theory assignments and quizzes projects are their minor grades. For the 2020-2021 school year, in the event that we have live concerts this year, we will definitely make allowances for students missing a performance. Normally those performances are required and graded and all of that kind of stuff. And this year, we know that this is unusual circumstances, and are going to be very, very understanding when it comes to stuff like that this school year. Also, in general, when it comes to grades, I know that for our students doing these synchronous and asynchronous assignments and doing everything through Canvas, and we have all these things that they're trying to deal with. I know that it's overwhelming for our students, and as far as our assignments and grades and everything are concerned, we're going to be understanding. We're going to work with our students. We had an assignment that was due yesterday, and we had some students that had some trouble with it. And so we're letting them submit it to us by different avenues and things like that. And so we're going to be understanding with that. We're working through the technology. They're working through the technology. So we're just telling them, don't freak out. It's going to be okay. So we just wanted to let you guys know that as well. Okay, curricular, extracurricular, and eligibility. This comes into play a little more in 7th and 8th grade than it does in 6th grade because we have extracurricular activities. So the things that are outlined in that Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills are all curricular. And so that's why concerts are typically graded and things like that, because those are curricular, those are part of our TEKS. Things that are extracurricular are extra. That is contests, competitions, festivals, the all-region auditions are extracurricular, and some of our social events. Those things follow under the no pass, no play rule that we have in the state of Texas, where a student with a grade of below a 70 on a 9-week report card in any class cannot participate in extracurricular activities. And then students can regain eligibility at the 3-week grading period if they pass every class. There's grace periods in there and things like that. There's a lot of minutia associated with the UIL eligibility rule. And so I didn't want to outline all of it there for you, but if you have any questions about that, please feel free to ask us. We've been dealing with eligibility rules for a very long time, and so we know a lot about them. The best way to make sure that your student doesn't get hit by the eligibility rule is to just, have them stay on top of their classes, kind of look at their grades, make sure that they're turning things in and stuff like that. If there are any questions with grades, we're very understanding and we'll help them out. How all of this is going to play with our current situation due to COVID and what the UIL is letting us do or allowing us to do or not, and things like that. A lot of that is kind of we're finding out more information as we go. So when it comes to things like that, I will communicate eligibility stuff with you guys in the newsletter, so you know what events we have coming up are going to be under this rule and which ones are not. Okay, practicing. It is very, very important for your student to practice their instrument and to practice their instrument every night. They learned how to play their instrument when they were in 6th grade, and in 7th and 8th grade, they are continuing to develop those skills. If they do not keep up that daily consistent practicing, what's going to happen is they're going to lose those skills that they gained, and they're going to backslide, and that can be really, really frustrating. So continued daily practice, 30 minutes a day is very important. I think of it like learning a language or like exercising. You can't just say, well, I'm going to do 2 hours on Saturday and I'm going to be able to do everything that I want to do. It's not going to help you the way that it would if you did 30 minutes a day every single day. And so that's where practicing is. In 6th grade, students had practice records. Concert and symphonic band students do not have practice records. So we're kind of putting that on the students to make sure that they practice and they work. They had that extrinsic motivation in 6th grade to turn that in, and it was a grade, but in 7th and 8th grade, it's not. And it's a little more intrinsic about, you wanting to become a better player on your instrument. If Parents, if you're kind of at the point where you're like, I know my students are supposed to practice, but I have no idea if they're doing it correctly. Please know that you're in good company. I am the first person in my family who ever played an instrument, and my parents had absolutely no idea if what I was doing was correct or not. And so there was a lot of guesswork there. This website right here, this practicing guide, is an amazing resource for you to let you know what you can look for, so you can know if the things that your students are practicing are correct and good. There's a couple of things you could also do. If it sounds good and it looks good, they're probably doing something right. If it sounds weird or they look weird while they're playing, they're probably doing something wrong. You can also ask them, hey, did your band director want you to do it that way? And they're generally going to be like, no, I'm not supposed to do that. And then they can correct that. So those are some things that you can look for. Okay, private lessons. This week on all of our social media, we are highlighting our private lesson teachers. We have an amazing private lesson teacher staff of fantastic musicians. And so, we encourage every single student in the Pearson Band to sign up for lessons. These are individualized one-on-one instruction with a professional musician. Especially with things being online right now and, it being a little strange and stuff, this is a wonderful way for your student to get that individualized instruction so they can improve on their instrument. There are going to be a little differences about lessons. So for the fall semester, all lessons are online, even if your student is returning to face-to-face. That is because the district does not want people who are not staff to be in the building, and so those private lesson teachers cannot come into the building. During band class, oh my goodness, lessons can happen during band class before or after school. While your student is taking online lessons, those can also happen on the weekends. Normally we don't do that because one of the band directors would have to be here during those lessons, but online lessons are perfectly fine on the weekend. If you're wondering about face-to-face, if your student's coming back face-to-face and they have a lesson during band class, they're just going to take their Chromebook and go into the practice room, have their lesson on Zoom or Skype, and then come back to class after their lesson is over. And lessons can definitely happen during band class. I've been teaching band for 12 years, and every single year I've had students take lessons during band, and it's not a problem at all. Those lessons are 23 to 30 minutes, 23 minutes if they're happening during band class, and that way we can fit 2 lessons in a class period, and then 30 minutes if they're outside of school. They are $20 per lesson, and you will schedule those lessons with the private lesson teacher. The private lesson teachers take care of their own schedule. And all private lesson teachers are degreed professionals who have been vetted and approved by our band staff and by Frisco ISD. They've been background checked. They have to be part of our State Music Association. And so these are degreed professionals. They're not just some random people that we know that happen to play the instrument that your student plays. This should be review. If your student's instrument is not working or it's broken, they should first bring it to us so we can look at it. If we can fix it, we will. If it is beyond our ability to fix, we'll let your student know that they can take it to the music store so they can get it fixed. Please don't try to fix the instrument with home repair tools. This can often cause way more harm than good. My dad is a fix things around the house kind of guy. And when I was in high school, my bassoon was not working correctly. And he said, oh, give it to me, I'll fix it. And I said, no, because I knew that my dad was not a repair person. He did not know how to fix a bassoon. And so we took it to the music store instead of him breaking it. So that's a good thing. Please do not use any household materials or cleaners on the instrument. There are oils and greases that go on some of our instruments, and those are specialized for those. Please don't use WD-40 or motor oil or super glue or any of those kinds of things on the instrument. Those can damage it. Please don't give your woodwind instrument a bath. That'll definitely ruin it. And if you are wanting to disinfect your instrument or sanitize it, let us know and we will give you some guidance on how you can do that. Spraying the instrument with Lysol or using bleach on it is not a good idea. So just let us know and we can give you some direction on that. Okay, policies and procedures. This is outlined on page 8 of the band handbook. I'm just going to very quickly go over this. Students should be prepared for the rehearsal. They need to make sure they bring their stuff every day. Make sure that they're ready for rehearsal by practicing. We are a band family. We're going to treat each other with respect, and that means treating other students with respect and adults with respect. You know, these are things that this next item is things that are violation of school rules, theft, fighting, profanity, vandalism, hazing, and bullying. We need to show proper care for all equipment, you know, making sure we don't damage anything. No food, drinks, gums, or running in the band hall or practice rooms. We want to make sure that we take pride in our building and keep it clean and free of damage. I have a lot of very expensive equipment behind me in the band hall. That equipment is only 5 years old and we need to make sure that it lasts for a really long time. Students should never leave their instrument unattended and should only handle their instrument and their supplies. This is going to be especially important this year that students are only handling things that belong to them. The instrument needs to go home every night so they can practice and be prepared. When we do have band events, you know, it's important that students conduct themselves appropriately because everything we're doing is representing our band program and representing our school. And then, you know, I know that conflicts are going to arise, especially if your kid is involved in multiple activities. You know, conflicts are going to happen. We're very understanding about those conflicts. Communication is the key. You know, communicating with us that there's a conflict or there's an issue is the key, so we can help make sure that we have a solution to those problems ahead of time. These are the Zoom expectations that we have for your students, just so you can see that. I'm going to go ahead and skip on to the next slide. Okay. So face-to-face instruction procedures. The health and safety of your student is very, very important to us, and we want to do everything that we can to help your student be safe in band class. On Monday, I sent out in the newsletter a document that outlines our face-to-face procedures here at Pearson. And you can read through this document. I'm going to talk about some of these items tonight. There we go. There is a study that is ongoing that is being done by the University of Colorado at Boulder. And this study is to determine the amount of aerosol that is escaping the instrument while it is being played. There are a lot of very interesting things that they have found out about this study. Like I said, it's ongoing. They have published the first 2 rounds of the study, but they're still continuing it and finding out more information. If you want to click on this and read through it, I highly suggest it. It's very interesting, and it has a lot of really interesting things. The very, very boiled down Cliff's Notes version is that they have found that students who play an instrument and sit 6 feet apart, at least 6 feet apart, the level of transmission is minimal. And so that is really, really good. You know, we were a little worried about the velocity of air leaving instruments and stuff like that. And so they found that, you know, it's not as bad as we had thought initially. So that's really good. Those findings are awesome. So some of these things that we're going to do to help mitigate the spread and to help your student be safe. Students will wear masks as they enter and leave the room and as they walk around, and that's in accordance with the Frisco ISD and the school policy. The students will not have school lockers. They're going to carry their backpacks around, but they will have band lockers in here so they can put their instrument, because nobody wants to carry their trombone around to all 8 classes in the school. So they'll have a locker here. These lockers in the band hall will be spread out as far as possible from other students in their class, and we've worked really hard to do that and spread those lockers out so they're not all together. Students will only touch their locker, their instrument, and their supplies, and that will help with that. Students may bring their own folding stand from home to use during class that they can leave at school. And then they can check out a music stand that belongs to the band to leave at home. And the reason why we are allowing this to happen is because those music stands are surfaces, and we don't want a bunch of students touching the same music stand all day. You know, these music stands are in here for 8 periods a day. So your student can bring their personal music stand to school, leave it in their locker, and use it during class. And then they can take one of our music stands home, so they can practice with that at home, and then they don't have to carry that back and forth. Students will be socially distanced as much as physically possible. And as you can see behind me, the chairs behind me are at 6 feet distance. And so we looked through all of our classes at the amount of students that are face-to-face, and we are happy to say that we have enough space in our band hall for our students to be 6 feet apart during all of our band classes. So that is a wonderful thing that we can say. While we are playing in band class, students will slide their mask down to their chin while playing, and then slide them back when they are not playing or while they're receiving instruction. So the students will put their mask on, and then when they play their instrument, they will slide it down to their chin, play their instrument, and then when they are not playing, they can put it back on their face. And this way, the students can wear their mask as much as possible when they are not actively playing their instrument. Percussion students can wear their masks during the entire class. And then no talking will happen without face masks. If the students have a question, they'll need to make sure their mask is on and they can talk and ask their question. And they'll stay on anytime the students are not playing their instruments. All band staff members will wear masks during class. Mr. Jensen and I share an office, and when we're not in the office, I'm not in the office right now, but when we are both in the office at the same time, we have been wearing our masks, and so we have had a lot of practice with that. So we will wear our masks during the whole class. Students will sit facing the same direction to minimize exposure and be socially distanced. All instruments, so the other thing that happened in the study was they said that the best thing to do is to mask the instruments. And so we can mask those instruments with either a bell cover or a food saver. And if you click on this link that goes to this document, there are links that will take you to Amazon so you can purchase those. But those covers will fit those instruments. Tuba players will need special covers because none of those food saver covers are big enough to cover a tuba. Flute players can wear a face shield while they play, because when you play the flute, half of your air goes out and half of your air goes into the instrument. And so I have 2 examples of face shields right here that you can wear while you play flute, and I have been able to do it, so you can do it. So I have this face shield that goes on like glasses, and that is a wonderful option. And then I have another face shield that just goes over your head. And you can wear both of those while you play flute. Brass players have a thing on their instrument called a water key. That is, instruments build up condensation, and you have to empty the condensation. And so we usually just do that on the carpet, and it's not an issue. But right now, we don't really want to empty any condensation on the carpet. So we are going to use puppy pads, and I have one right here. And they're nice and big, so we can cut these into pieces. And so the student can get a piece. They can empty their water valve on this, and then we can throw it away at the end of class. Just dispose of it in the trash can. You know, we have been talking with other band directors about other options, buckets, bowls, towels, sponges, different things like that. But those all involve the students taking them home and washing them and then making sure that they bring them back. And we feel like this is the easiest and simplest way, so the students can just dispose of it at the end of class and then they don't have to worry about it anymore. We are asking that you purchase these PPE, face shields, bell covers, puppy pads, those kinds of things for your student to use. If you cannot purchase those, or if you can't find them, please let one of us know, and we can help you out with that and scholarship you on those supplies. Okay, the last Oh, I guess I did. Okay, so we are going to talk about band registration. You completed band registration for your student in 6th or in 7th grade last year, and so this is the same. We have the band handbook, and the band handbook is pretty much exactly the same as it was last year. So if you read that band handbook last year, you pretty much read the band handbook this year. There is a Google form for band registration, just so we make sure that we have all of the correct information for your student and we get their t-shirt size so we can order their band t-shirt for this school year. So if you could fill that out. I know that earlier some people were trying to fill out the registration form and it was not working. I have adjusted the settings so it should work now, but if it doesn't, please just email me and let me know. Oh, that's wrong. The band fee for this year is not $40. It is $50 for your student in symphonic band and concert band. That is actually lowered from the fee last year because of this school year and the current conditions that we're going through. We couldn't justify charging $100 or $75 for a band fee. And so we have lowered that to $50. That will include your student's band t-shirt, the binder. We're going to use a program called Charms, and so that includes their Charms subscription. We will be doing some competitions, some contests, some things like that require clinicians and judges. If we do it, we will be able to do it online if we need to do it online or bring them in person. So that will cover some of that. You can pay that on Charms through PayPal. And then if you do not know how to access your student's Charms account or how to pay on PayPal on Charms, you can click there and that will take you to a video so you can see that. If your student is using a school-owned instrument, so that's going to be oboe, bassoon, tenor sax, bari sax, bass clarinet, French horn, euphonium, or tuba, there is a school-owned instrument fee, and you will get a notification from Online School Fees about that. And then you're done with registration after you complete all of those items. We ask that you please complete band registration by Monday, September 7th. That will help us make sure our records are updated, and then we can order the band t-shirts for your students. As I talked about PPE for band for this year, if you could help us out with the Amazon wish list, we do have an Amazon wish list that has those items on there. If you could help us out so we can make sure that we have enough of that for all of our students, we greatly appreciate it. Be very thankful for that. And that is the meeting. Thank you so much for being here. I would just like to recognize Mr. Jensen. Mr. Jensen has fielded questions for the 6th grade meeting and for this meeting the entire evening. So thank you so much, Mr. Jensen. We appreciate you a lot for fielding those questions. If you do not have any questions, then you are good to go. You are welcome to sign off. Thank you so much for being here this evening. We appreciate your time. If you do have a question, you are welcome to stay on and unmute yourself, and we will answer your questions to the best of our abilities. Thank you so much, everyone. We appreciate you.